Janice Williams started her day like she always did, waking up at the break of dawn in her small, cozy apartment. The sound of the alarm clock filled the quiet room as she stretched and prepared for yet another day as a cleaning lady at the prestigious Claremont Corporation. Life hadn't been particularly kind to Janice. Widowed at an early age, she had to raise her two kids on her own, taking on whatever job she could find to make ends meet. She didn't complain. She worked hard, always reminding herself that providing for her children was her top priority. Despite her position, Janice had an inner strength that belied her modest demeanor. What her co-workers and the executives at Claremont didn't know was that Janice had a degree in business administration. Years ago, she had dreamed of climbing the corporate ladder, but life's twists and turns had steered her in another direction. At Claremont, she was just the cleaning lady, invisible to most of the people who worked there. Every day she moved through the office halls, vacuuming floors, emptying trash bins and tidying desks. Her work was impeccable, but it often went unnoticed. Most employees didn't even bother to acknowledge her presence. To them, she was just another faceless worker in the background. Janice, however, observed everything. The whispered conversations in the break room, the hurried footsteps of stressed-out employees, and the discarded files left behind by careless executives. All of it painted a picture of the company's inner workings. She noticed how the higher-ups would laugh and joke amongst themselves, never sparing a thought for the people who kept the place running smoothly. They spoke openly about deals, layoffs, and sometimes even their disdain for employees they considered unimportant. It hurt to hear them talk that way, but Janice kept her head down and did her job. One evening, as Janice cleaned the executive floor, she stumbled upon a folder left carelessly on a desk. The title on the cover caught her eye: Employee Layoff Strategy. Curiosity got the better of her, and she opened it. What she read made her stomach churn. The document detailed plans to cut dozens of lower-level positions, targeting workers who were already struggling to get by. Janice recognized some of the names on the list. People she knew personally, people with families to feed. Meanwhile, the document also outlined hefty bonuses for the executives who would oversee the layoffs. The sheer injustice of it all made Janice's blood boil. She clutched the folder, her mind racing. How could she let this happen? But what could she, a mere cleaning lady, do to stop it? That night, Janice couldn't sleep. She thought about the single mother from accounting who always stayed late to finish her work. She thought about the mailroom clerk who was saving up to send his daughter to college. She thought about all the people who would lose their jobs while the executives padded their bank accounts. And then she thought about her own children and the example she wanted to set for them. The next day, Janice arrived at work with a new sense of determination. She began to quietly gather information, enlisting the help of a few trusted colleagues who, like her, were fed up with the company's toxic culture. One of them, Marco from IT, proved especially helpful. He provided her with emails and documents that exposed the executives' unethical practices, from financial fraud to discriminatory policies. Janice also started paying closer attention to Richard Hawkins, the CEO of Claremont. Hawkins was known for his arrogance and lack of empathy. He rarely interacted with employees outside his inner circle, and when he did, it was usually to berate them for minor mistakes. Janice had crossed paths with him several times, and each encounter left her feeling invisible. He didn't even bother to learn her name, referring to her as the help. But Janice knew something Hawkins didn't. While he dismissed her as irrelevant, she had been quietly building a case that could bring him down. Her opportunity came sooner than expected. One evening, as she cleaned the executive conference room, she overheard Hawkins berating a junior employee. The young man left the room visibly shaken, his face red with embarrassment. Janice's heart ached for him. She decided then and there that she couldn't stay silent any longer. The following morning, Janice walked into the boardroom, not as a cleaning lady, but as a whistleblower. With her allies by her side, she presented a portfolio of evidence that laid bare the corruption and misconduct of the company's leadership. The board members, stunned by the depth of the allegations, listened in silence as Janice detailed each transgression. Hawkins, seated at the head of the table, was visibly furious. "Who do you think you are?" he demanded, his voice dripping with contempt. Janice met his glare without flinching. "I'm the person who cleans up your messes, both literal and figurative." she replied calmly. The room fell silent. The evidence was irrefutable. The board had no choice but to take action. Within weeks, Hawkins was forced to resign in disgrace. His departure marked the beginning of a new era for Claremont. The company implemented sweeping changes, including the appointment of a new CEO, a woman of color with a reputation for ethical leadership. Janice's courage inspired employees across the organization to speak up against injustice. As for Janice, she was offered a leadership role within the company, but she declined. Instead, she started her own consulting firm, dedicated to promoting diversity and ethical practices in the workplace. Her journey wasn't just about exposing corruption, it was about proving that respect and dignity are fundamental rights, no matter who you are or what job you do. In the end, Janice's story became a powerful reminder that even the most overlooked individuals have the power to create change. Her bravery not only transformed Claremont Corporation, but also sent a message to society that no act of injustice should go unchallenged.